fact, you will never learn to enjoy true success until you learn to see the big picture. Hey, I'm Steve Diggs. This is The Big Picture. Welcome aboard. Today on the homepage, I want to talk to you a little bit more about how to get rid of short-term debt. By the way, for most of us, that's everything but the house, in anywhere from 1 to about 6 years. Now again, some people think, well, that's not possible. I'm going to submit that if you have normal intelligence and decent health, many people can get completely out of short-term debt in as little as 1 to 6 years. I'm going to show you how to do it, and I will remind you from an earlier program how we talked about this strategy. I told you that the key here, of course, is to drag out all of those debts, the ones we don't want to think about, all, 7 of the credit card bills, the 2 car loans, the school bills, the furniture store bills, all of that stuff, and then zero in on one and pay it off. We're going to pay the minimum on everything else, but we're going to pick out one that we hate the very most, kill it dead. I think I also told you at that point that Dave Ramsey says pay off the one you owe the least on. Good advice. Other people say, no, pay off the one with a higher interest rate. That's fine too. I just say go after the one that you hate the most, murder it. And then when number 1 is gone, we take the money from 1, we go after number 2, and then once 1 and 2 are gone, we take the money from 1 and 2 and go after number 3, and on it goes. I think I also probably told you that Dave Ramsey calls that snowballing. Susie Orman, she calls it rolling down. Clark Howard calls it laddering, climbing the ladder. To me, it's just a matter of dealing with it and getting it behind us. But here's the thing. Frequently, when I share this message to audiences around the country, people say, well, Steve, that's all fine and good, but how in the world am I going to get the money to do all of this stuff? Glad you asked. What I want to share with you is what I call Steve's 3-point debt steroid pack. In other words, how do we get the money to pay off the debts to change things for the better going forward? I would tell you that there are 3 things we need to do. Number 1, we need to get serious, ambitious, and pretty much driven in selling stuff. This means we're going to sell everything we have that we don't really need to have. We get to keep the wedding photos, but we're going to sell the frames, okay? And on that point, let me just say there are 2 ways to sell stuff. There is a good way, and then there is a great way. The good way, that's anytime we sell anything we have that we don't have to keep, and we make some money from it. But here's the really great way. The great way is when we sell something like a car that we don't have to hold on to, or maybe a storage shed full of junk that we don't need, or maybe a motorcycle. Done this way, we're not only getting the money from the sale, but we're also getting rid of overhead, maintenance, insurance, upkeep. We're bringing down our cost of living. Second thing I would suggest is that we have got to learn to cut expenses. And again, this isn't fun for many people, but I'm telling you, we've got to do that. And by the way, for many people, there are really probably about 6 different essentials. Our giving, our housing, our clothing, our food, our transportation, and our medication. After that, most everything else is something that we can live without. For instance, we don't need cable TV necessarily. It's better to pay the rent even if you can't pay the cable bill. But we're going to really, truly cut expenses. It means this year we're not going to go on that resort vacation. We're going to go to grandmama's house and let her do the cooking, okay? And then the third thing that we have to look at is work. And again, sometimes people get pretty upset at this. They say, well, Steve, I'm working 40-hour weeks. Here's the truth. When you're in debt and the collectors are calling and you can't sleep at night, usually a 40-hour week isn't going to be enough to get the job done. You need to get up, get some extra work at the job. If you can't do that, get a second or third job. If you can't do that, start your own little business. Clean people's houses, clean yards, anything that you're capable of doing. We need to do this. There is nothing wrong with 60, 70, 80-hour work weeks for a period of time. And listen, this is coming from a guy who has done this. There were years and years and years when I averaged anywhere from 80 to 100 hours of work every single week. You can do this. The outcome is so good at the end that you will look back on it and say, wow, that was the best thing financially that I ever did. I'm Steve Diggs. This has been The Big Picture. See you next time.